Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel, alex&kc Vlogs. My name is Alex, aka Boss101 in Overwatch. Today we're going to be talking about Sombra's latest nerfs and how they have been affecting her in a negative way. Okay, firstly I would like to point out that in my last video I had made it to Masters and I made a pretty big deal over it. But the truth is I've actually hit Masters about I think 4 maybe 5 times in the past seasons, and I always decayed. This season I hit Masters, but I made a big deal out of it because I got there after my placements, which is something that hasn't really happened before, I think. And as you can see in this video, I'm in Diamond. So the reason why I decayed this time is because after a little while after I hit Masters, my controller broke. I'm a very aggressive player, so I ended up breaking my controller and I had to buy a new one. I now have a Razer Raiju, so I don't really care too much about my rank that much. I really just like being in a high rank because at the end of the season I'll have more competitive points so that I can get golden guns. So you will be seeing more games of me in comp, but just know that I may or may not be in Masters, and I don't take it too seriously, so I hope you don't either. But of course I still like get hyped and yell and stuff like that. Like that's supposed to be normal when you play a competitive game. I also want to point out that I don't script when I do these type of videos. You can see in my past ones, I kind of just talk straight from my head, straight exactly what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, because I don't like making scripts. These type of videos take quite a lot of work, and it's a lot easier for me to get my point across because I'm talking and I just get it out than just writing it all down and basically following that. So I did make a list of topics on the subject that I want to talk about of Sombra's nerfs, and I'll try to follow that, and I might trail off, so bear with me. So I'm going to start off by talking about what exactly Sombra's nerfs are. By the hero update, Sombra's hack now goes on a 2-second cooldown when interrupted by damage, now is more consistently interrupted when targets break line of sight, and from the developer comments, it reads, "We are also removing the 0.1 second window of time during a hack where it couldn't be cancelled via line of sight or with other abilities including Tracer's Recall and Zarya's Particle Barrier, which was originally put in place so the hack wouldn't be interrupted by small objects such as light posts. We've implemented a separate fix for that issue, so she should still be unaffected by those small objects." Later in the video, I'm going to show how the things said in this developer comment are not working as intended. Now I'm going to talk about how Sombra received her nerfs. So the biggest thing that was wrong with Sombra was her hack. Her hack was buffed from being just normal to shutting down Reinhardt Barrett's and Diva's defense matrix to being stronger by turning off Lucio's song, having Pharaoh's drop from the sky, same as Mercy. Genji can no longer climb up walls, the same with Hanzo. Also, Sombra's hack was also faster, being buffed to 0.65 seconds. So, when the pros got their hands on it by playing games and scrims, they were very shocked to how Blizzard was able to push these things to live. So, they complained. So as the Overwatch Flow pairs were very unhappy, Blizzard assured them that they will be pushing out a nerf. News of this later came from Overwatch Pro player for the Fusion Academy, Zachary. He announced it on his Twitch, telling everyone that Sombra will be receiving a nerf and that it has not been announced to the public. Later, there was a tweet from the Overwatch Contenders caster Andrew Wuss saying that people were just overreacting about Sombra's current buffs, and there wasn't enough time to determine her current state. So now we are going to move on to the why Sombra got nerfed. Along with the pro complaints, they spoke of hack being compared to Roadhog's hook. The reason for this comparison was because of Sombra's 0.1 second window that I had mentioned in the developer comment. Sombra's hack was able to reach you through walls and through hero abilities such as Tracer Recall and Zarya's Bubble. Next, it was unfun to fight against because of all the hero abilities that were disabled due to the buff. In Zachary's stream, he had mentioned that the devs told the pro players that they believed that Sombra was overtuned. The pro players also believed that Sombra might become a must-pick to deal with Tracer and also tanks. They also mentioned that Sombra's hack was inconsistent. Sometimes during their matches they were able to get hack off in 0.4 seconds instead of the 0.65 seconds that Sombra's hack was buffed to. The 0.4 hacking speed also added to the frustration of Sombra hacking people through walls. Pro tank players felt that she was oppressive, with her EMP shutting down all barriers and abilities, and to the community, inexperienced players were overusing their hack, which gave the impression that most Sombras do this. The aftermath. After all this has been said and done, these are the results that have been implemented after Sombra received her nerfs. The beam of her hack would break often by small objects, which means it has not been working as intended. As I mentioned before from the developer comments where they stated that Sombra's hack wouldn't be affected by small objects such as light posts and signs, that has not exactly been the case. The hack LOS checks have been very punishing with almost no leniency. Even though Sombra's hack has been compared to Roadhog's hook, Roadhog's LOS isn't as severe as Sombra's. And I'm sure many of you have experienced Roadhog's hook behaving as if it was Hook 1.0. Essentially, this has affected Sombra's range due to how easy it is to break. It also has limited her options to do special plays, such as throwing her translocator above her opponent in order to get a successful hack, or hiding behind a corner to avoid being interrupted. It also discourages risky playstyles that would have otherwise been highly rewarded. Now I will show you Sombra's hack window not working as intended, as well as the severity of her LOS. So as you can see here, Sombra cannot hack Tracer as long as she's behind the light post. And here, the hack goes off because it reaches the 1 second window. Their fix has not been implemented correctly. The next issue is one I was able to replicate after experiencing it in comp. When Winston goes into Primal Rage and is jumping around, before you were able to have a successful hack, as long as you had him in your line of sight. But now, when Winston jumps, even if he is in your line of sight, the hack will break. Now I will show the severity of the LOS hack. I get through enemy 9 to land a kill on the Zenyatta. After I kill him, the enemy Mercy comes for a res. As she's resing, I try to hack her, but a little bit of her body gets blocked by the rock, disconnecting my hack, and she was able to get the res off, even though I can still see most of her body. In instances like these, it makes hack basically useless to even attempt. In this game, I get in position to hack the enemy Genji, who I suspect has an ultimate. As I attempt to hack him, my hack breaks for no apparent reason, even though he was in my line of sight. The ability even goes on cooldown, but gets refunded. After all these changes, many Sombra players have stated that they rather play the old Sombra than the current. Of course, that is to be expected. The current Sombra does have pretty bad inconsistencies, along with some annoying bugs. Many have stated that Sombra's hack is so inconsistent and difficult to use that they have gone back to doing the old EMP bot playstyle. Basically, getting EMP as quickly as possible and to use it in order to gain any value. Now, onto the overreaction that led to Sombra's changes. Sombra's buff went live in February 27th, 2018, and her nerf went live in March 20th, 2018. Less than a month apart. Pre-buff Sombra had a pick rate of 0.66, not very high and definitely not good. After her buff was received, her pick rate went up on PC to 0.98, on PlayStation 1.83, and on Xbox 2.05. Not much better, but a slight improvement. Then, once her nerfs came in, her pick rate, up to this month, on PC it went to 0.99, on PSN 1.99, and on Xbox 1.77. So as you can see, Sombra's pick rate did go up, but not by much. And her win rate stayed at a constant 47 to 48% across all platforms. When the Overwatch League teams used Sombra in scrims, they barely won with her, further proving that Sombra was even less of a threat than they initially believed. Also, as part of the overreaction, Sombra's nerfs went live so quickly that they didn't even go into PTR, which begs the question everyone always asks, why even have a PTR? Now for the conclusion. Sombra has had a hard time since release, and not enough time given for her buffs to truly settle. I wanted to make this video to bring attention to some of Sombra's issues after all of these changes have gone down. But I did not make this video to target anyone such as the pros, because they are players too, and have as much of a right to voice their frustrations. It is because once the pros voiced their frustrations, Blizzard took immediate action. Blizzard ignored their usual methods of balancing in order to appease the pros. Granted, they are pro players and Blizzard has invested a lot of money in them, so they do want to keep them happy so that the game is still enjoyable for them and enjoyable for their viewers. But at the same time, the community put money into Blizzard for their game. We are also the reason why the game is doing so well. So I think that Blizzard needs to find some sort of common ground when it comes to the frustrations of the pros and the frustrations of its community. If the pros find something frustrating, such as Sombra's nerfs, it would have been a long time before Sombra's buffs hit the competitive scene. So, initially, they would have had enough time to issue some nerfs into PTR and to tune Sombra well enough to be a playable character that the pros would pick up and a playable character that the community would still play. Because when she received her buffs, many people picked her up. That's why so many complaints of her spamming her hack came about. New players are trying to learn Sombra. Spamming an ability is normal. Top 500 Sombra player Fitzy here says if her pick rate in the Overwatch League isn't high enough, she'll need to be changed again. I too believe that will be the case. So guys, that is my video. If you guys have experienced any other issues with Sombra's current nerfs on console or PC, please be sure to leave it down below. Hope you guys enjoyed, and see you in the next one.